Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff, Neil Lennon and Tam McManus are here with me. If you can't see Tam, that's because he's camouflaged today with his new Christmas present, but every now and then he'll move and allow us to know exactly where he is on the show. So that's great, Tam. That is one hell of, even for podcasters who only listen to the show, there will be static.
It's been golf. Get my first game of golf today.
Yeah,
9 holes. That was
looking
terrible.
Good.
Action man.
It does look like action man. It really does. And of course, not sure what he's going to do with the hair for the summer. What are you going to do for the European Championship?
Growing it out.
Are you going to? Yeah, fantastic, excellent. Back to the crazy days when he was at Hibs. Anyway, we'll be talking about Hibs. They're playing well at the moment, so that's why Tam's got a smile on his face. There is lots to talk about looking back over the weekend of Premiership football in Scotland. We'll also have a glance towards what happened in the Carabao Cup final between Liverpool and Chelsea. Here's what's coming up.
Philippe Clement has heaped praise on new signing Mohamed Diomande after the January arrival fired in his second Rangers goal against Hearts.
As a player who suited the way we want to play football, and the way we want to play football suits him also.
Brendan Rodgers warned Celtic will write their own story this season after a last gasp double sealed a vital win over Motherwell. Neil Warnock admits Aberdeen were bullied by Kilmarnock as his wait for a league victory goes on.
You know, I don't think I've ever had a team that's got bullied really in my life. You know, but you can't put into some players what they haven't got.
Jurgen Klopp has referred to Liverpool's Caraboa Cup win as his most special yet after an extra time winner against Chelsea.
But in my more than 20 years, easily the most special trophy I ever won.
Well, high praise indeed for his Liverpool youngsters who managed to beat the millionaires and billionaires that obviously are there at Chelsea. So we'll talk about that a little later on. First port of call, Ibrox. Questions over whether Hearts could come to Glasgow and win. It was an emphatic no. Rangers were rampant, Ruffy.
Certainly, and as Neil and the guys will tell you, if you lose a goal at Parkhead or Ibrox very early in the game, you're under pressure for the rest of it. And I thought Rangers were just superb. I think it's the best they've played this year. I think everybody turned up. It was a full team performance, and it gives Hearts something to think about with the Hibs game.
Yeah, and significant signings that are stepping up to the plate. Diomande scoring that first goal set Rangers on their way, and there was no way back after that. And Philippe Clement well happy with his latest signing.
As a player who suited the way we want to play football, and the way we want to play football suits him also. So in that way, it's easier to come into a squad when you can use your qualities. And it's the same with Oscar and with Fabio. You see also that they are enjoying and that they are growing as young players. And it's a huge thing. It's 3 young players that we get now in the winter market. So they still have a lot of potential to grow.
Yeah, listen, there's a transformation that he's managed to achieve, which is not only inherit a team, but then bring in his own type of player, and those players are contributing.
Yeah, they are. I think that'll delight the Rangers supporters as well. You know, the new signings are coming in and they're playing well. Diomande scored a great goal against St Johnstone. You know, edge of the box. Same again at the weekend, edge of the box, left foot, bottom corner. They've got a guy that can score goals from midfield, it appears now as well. Fabio Silva come on and scored. Cortez scored. So everything is really positive at the minute at Rangers. You know, they probably their best performance of the season, most complete, as Ruffy said there. 5-0 is a real emphatic victory against a Hearts team that's been flying high. And they go into every game now really, really confident they're going to win. They've got a tough one obviously on Wednesday down at Kilmarnock. But if they come through this game, you know, the Hearts game in Kilmarnock with 6 points, that goes a long way, I think, Peter, to go and win the league.
Yeah, you've been there in both circumstances, Neil. When you're out in front and you've got the momentum, can you sense within a group, as undoubtedly Philippe Clement is at the moment, can you sense within a group that feel-good factor, that feeling as if they're just going to go out there and do the business?
Yeah, they're rolling at the minute. It's a statement win. For me, under Clement, I thought, you know, Hearts were on good form. Stephen's done a really good job over the last couple of months. Shanklin's on fire. You know, they might give Rangers problems, but the performance, as Ruffy says, and the result, you know, sent a message that, you know, they're the real deal here. Long way to go, but they'll be feeling good about themselves going into the next game, which is a real tough one. You know, and if they can overcome that, then, you know, it's really good signs for Rangers. But the emphatic win. The quality of the goals were good as well. I really liked the second goal, the side foot one into the far corner, and obviously the ball from Suter for the third goal for Dessers was fantastic. So they're in a good place at the minute, and Celtic have to stay on their tails.
Yeah, and with every game now, in this unusual situation for Rangers, is suddenly there's been such a huge turnaround in points, Ruffy, that now they're on the front foot, and on Saturday, and when they're playing before Celtic, they've got that chance just to crank up the pressure.
Yeah, then I think the biggest criticism when the two big teams aren't playing particularly well, it's not handling the pressure properly. But when you're winning games comfortably, if you get new guys in the team, they're coming into a winning side, they're winning comfortably, they all want the ball, they all want to express themselves, and that's okay when you're winning. It's when you're not winning, and we'll talk about it later on with other games, it's very, very tight, intense as well, and you could see that with the game yesterday.
Yeah, no surprise as far as the opposition is concerned. Stevie Naismith not happy with the way the goals were conceded.
We lost 5 goals that are probably in the group of the weakest goals that we've conceded at bad times of the game. And I think that after last week and Rangers going top of the league, playing before Celtic this week, we knew they were going to start fast and the atmosphere would be loud, and we probably didn't deal with that well enough. And when we conceded the 2 goals, one early in the first half, one early in the second half, it's an uphill battle. So.
And again, I reference yourself because you've been in Edinburgh. You know exactly what it's like with the mentality. It's not just about scoring goals and having a Lawrence Shanklin on your side. There needs to be a mentality, a steeliness, an enforcer. There needs to be all those things, as if to say, if you're going to go into the Lions' Den, whether it's Celtic Park or Ibrox, you've got to have an attitude about you.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone to Celtic Park and they won 2-0, and by all accounts they were good value for it, and they've really built on that, Peter, since then, But yeah, you need all components to. I've been there with Hibs, conceded an early goal, and then you're looking for a reaction. He obviously didn't get the reaction he was looking for. You got to stay in the game, play your way into the game, and sometimes it's difficult to do when there's that sort of groundswell of momentum against you. But you'll be disappointed, Stephen, because he sets good standards as a player himself, and obviously over the last couple of months, what the run they've been on and the good football they've produced. But it's hard sometimes when one of the big two are on a roll, which Rangers are, and they get the early goal. It's really difficult to stem that sort of flow towards your own goal, and that's when you need your midfield, certainly your 6 and your centre forwards to. All right, maybe not score a goal, but let's play our way into the game here. Let's get a few passes in, and that wasn't the case. Rangers just flooded all over them.
Was that your biggest job when you took over at Hibs? Was almost trying to assess the mentality, because you'll already have assessed the players. You know exactly when a player is a player, what he can do and what he can't do. Was the psychological part for you a big job? Yeah, because they'd won the cup, but they hadn't been out of the championship for 3 years, so you had to change the mentality in terms of, right, we need to learn how to grind out results here, first and foremost, because this is a championship. It's not always going to be pretty football. We've got a few experienced boys in like Grant Holt and Marciano, so bump goalkeeper, big centre forward, Cummins can play off him. But I always felt that if we got promoted, we'd have the nucleus of a really good team that could handle the Premier League, better than the abject sort of nature of the championship. But when you go to Glasgow, you have to put that belief into the players and use that experience that you've had over the years of going to Celtic Park or going to Ibrox and going, the human beings at the end of the day, they are prone to make mistakes. And if they do make mistakes, then the crowd will get on. You can flip this very, very quickly. I remember second game of the season was Rangers' first home game, and we were goal down after a minute. So straight away you're looking for a reaction. And to be fair to the players, they kicked in, got the equaliser, and then the game settled, and we ended up winning the game. I think we went 3-1 up there, scored late on, and won the game 3-2. So it's very, very doable. But sometimes at this stage of the season, you have to have that belief that you can go and get first of all, you want to try and get a point, and then the win's a massive bonus. Yeah, okay. From Rangers going 5 points clear on the Saturday to the Sunday at Fir Park, where the questions were going to be asked of Celtic. Could they respond? Well, Motherwell 1, Celtic 3 looks like a comfortable win, but it was far from it, Ruffy.
It certainly was. The first half, I think Brendan Rodgers already touched on it. It just wasn't the standard that he's looking for. Again, just as I spoke about it earlier, I think there was the first half particularly with them scoring, the pressure set in a wee bit in certain players. And the unfortunate thing for Brendan is he doesn't know who his best 11 is. You know, he's got guys coming in and guys coming out and guys coming in and guys coming out. That's not, you know, a happy environment to be in. Fortunately, they did get the goal at the start of the second half, and then you felt the confidence coming into the players who in the first half were maybe feeling the pressure a wee bit. They were up for it. Celtic were on the front foot, creating all the chances, and they started to play a wee bit. But you can't win a championship just playing 45 minutes.
The first half was, from a Celtic perspective, it would have been, I've spoken to a number of people, just the word they used was painful.
It's probably one of the worst 45 minutes I've seen from Celtic in a long time. It really was. It was so poor. They didn't have any flow to their game. Motherwell were getting on top of them, you know, pressing them in the midfield, you know, creating chances. And the goal was, I think Motherwell deserved to win 1-0 up at half time. I thought Celtic were really, really poor, and that would disappoint Brendan Rodgers because he'd have wanted a reaction from last week, you know, dropping points at home to Kilmarnock, Rangers going and winning 5-0. He's got to have jumped into the players' list. We've got a real title race on. We need to go out and start the game well. And they started the game poorly. I think the half-time substitution was a great sub. I think it was a game for Adam Ida. It wasn't a game for Kyogo. It was a game to get a ball into a big centre forward, hold it up, bring people into play. He done that. He got the goal. And I also think Kuhn coming off and Yang coming on was a great sub as well. He contributed as well. So Celtic were good in the second half, but Motherwell had a great opportunity, I think, through Lennon Miller, the header. It was a great save from Hart to go 2-1 up again. And Celtic not convincing, won the game, but I think it's papering over the cracks. Peter, I just don't think they're playing well enough now to go and win a championship.
We'll get you the thoughts of Brendan Rodgers in a moment, but on the flip of this now, I want to offer the sense of balance on this. Motherwell's first half performance is good. A lot of people raving about Lennon Miller. I hope he gets that chance to develop, get 50, 60, 70 games, you know, rather than somebody just swoop in and buy him and stick him in the reserves.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it'd be good for him to get that development there. He's in a good place. He's good environment. He's obviously a top talent, Peter. You know, he's good size already for a 17-year-old, elegant player, and I think he's good with both feet. And you know, his assist for the goal was outstanding, you know, for someone of that age. So yeah, I mean, they've got a diamond there, and you just want to protect him and do what's best for him. And I agree with you. You know, he's probably better off just staying where he is for now. Everybody wants to run before they can walk, but you know, another, like you said, 50, 60 games will do him the world of good.
What did you make of Motherwell?
I thought they were good first half, and then I thought second half, once Celtic got the equaliser, they lacked belief then, and they went deeper and deeper. And they just, you know, the left Bear, who was really a handful in the first half, he was really isolated second half. The difference in the game for me was the subs. You know, Celtic bringing on their subs and the substitutions at Stuart Kettlewell. One was forced when Casey went off. I didn't think that helped them at all. But, you know, the subs who came on from Motherwell didn't have the impact he probably wanted. And then, you know, Celtic were pretty good second half, I have to say. And, you know, Maeda could have had to himself, you know, could have been 5 in the end. You know, so it was a good response from Celtic, important because the first half was, you know, glaringly poor to watch.
Yeah. OK, Brendan Rodgers has now taken a tact, which Ruffy is rather interesting at the end of the game. He said it to more than a few broadcasters. There's a story being written about this group, but we will write our own story. The key thing for us is to stay together. It's still a long way out. It was important for us to get the win psychologically and for our football. He was keen to emphasise to any broadcaster that was speaking to him that there seems to be a story already written. You know, this is about Rangers winning the title and they're not going to win it. So from my point of view, it's not a bad week. Is he now trying to create a siege mentality after the pain of people absolutely filleting the board for the lack of signings in January, and of course the fact that they've got all this money in the bank? Yeah,
it's been out there. Everybody's been vocal on it. You're talking about the players that come in the window, having all the money, and people think you don't want to spend it. I'm sure they did want to spend it, but the right players weren't there. So it is, again, it's a siege mentality. You want to get the players in the dressing room. You want to say to them, look, I hope you are listening to what I'm listening to. You know, hope you get some kind of response from them. You know, and they know that the run-in is still there to be won. You know, and you have to keep everybody on board. So I think it's one of the ones. I mean, Neil will know better than us when you're at a top big club like that. You have to get them in the dressing room. You have to see what the players' mentality is. You have to see if they're hurting as much as you're hurting.
I've no problem with the manager, Tam, creating that siege mentality. He can do that. He can say it. It's absolutely Brendan's right to try and motivate them in any way he possibly can. It's certainly not a media-driven campaign here. This is on the evidence of a team that really, your eyes can't deceive you. They are the defending champions, and since Brendan's come back, for me, they've had 345 minutes. Motherwell, St Mirren and Hearts, where they've been really good.
Yes, it's not a media-driven agenda. You know, people are, as you said, they're watching the games, they're watching Rangers, they're watching Celtic, they're comparing the teams. You know, both obviously getting similar results. Rangers are a little bit better, that's why they're in front. But Rangers are winning games convincingly, Peter. They're playing well, they're winning games, they're putting teams away. Celtic are not putting teams to bed, and that will come back and hurt them at some point. It didn't yesterday, but it will at some point. They've got a tough game on Sunday away to Hearts, where they've got to go and win as well, because I think Celtic just need to keep winning games. If they can go into that Old Firm game at Ibrox just the 2 points behind, then a win changes everything. It changes everything. You know, Celtic then go favourites, but they've got to try and get to that game, because I don't see Rangers dropping many points at the minute. So Celtic just need to stay in touch with them.
I think I heard Ian Crocker in the commentary yesterday saying Celtic have dropped 16 points. You know, that's where the swings come.
I mean, they've had 2 defeats, haven't they? I think Rangers have had 4. So it's the draws that are killing them at the minute, you know, and you're looking at it at half-time yesterday thinking, yes, it's not good, but the response was great. I thought they played well, played with a bit of verve, and I think Ida gave them something different that the teams lacked. You know, that physical presence. You know, he was good yesterday, he was sharp, he was hungry. The goal's brilliant, the first one. The second one's a great goal as well. But they've needed that sort of different type of striker for, as Tom says, those type of games. So, big plus for him. And they've just got to keep rolling. And I like Brendan's reaction. I'd have done the same. You know, batten down the hatches. Don't let anything out. Don't let anything in. It's all about us. We will create our own story here. And ignore the noise. It's difficult, but it's not the noise isn't the reality. The reality is, once that whistle goes for the 94, 95 minutes, that's our reality, and how we, how we answer the critics is by, winning football games and trying to win them well.
Yeah, 94, 95, 96 minutes is something that Stuart Kettlewell emphasised to his players. They need to be fit right to the death.
For us to get better as a football club and to make sure that we come away with these games with something, we have to go and complete 96 minutes mentally, but we have to go and complete 96 minutes physically as well. So that one comes back on me. I'm always responsible for how the players are conditioned. I'm not saying that they're not fit. That's far from what I'm saying. But once we start to see 1 or 2 feeling for hamstrings and thighs and various things, I think what it does is it probably, I always think about it, it shows that little bit that the opposition can grow momentum in the game.
Yeah, and in the end, Celtic win this one by 3-1. You can give us your view on the title race. It changes from day to day. People's optimism, pessimism. If you're a Rangers fan out there, is there a real sense that you're on the way to the title? If you're a Celtic fan, what's your view on the way they're playing? And is it all about, as Neil mentioned there, Brendan Rodgers adopting that siege mentality to get Celtic back on track? Give us your view in the comments, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and come and join the football family. At Rugby Park, it was Kilmarnock 2, Aberdeen 0. I spotted on social media one of those posts. I'm not sure where it came from, but it was like, let's get McInnes back to Aberdeen. And I thought, oh, how they've all changed. There's some people who, wanted him out because of the football we're playing. He's gone to Kilmarnock. He's got them flying high in the top end of the table. And again, it's the 3rd win over Aberdeen for Kelly.
Yeah, and I think his signings have been superb. I mean, everybody talks about the boy Armstrong and Vassell. I think Stuart Finley's been a tremendous signing for him. Centre half, you know, I think he's got all the experience in the world. They look solid at the back. They've got a very, very good goalkeeper. And they're winning games, you know, and you can see the crowds are starting to come back now at Kilmarnock. You know, everybody's buzzing, and they'll be wanting that top 6 place.
Yeah, not a perfect day for Derek McInnes, but he was well happy that they got the 3 points in the end.
I think we had 16 shots inside their box. So for only 2 to go in, it's no perfect afternoon, but it was all about 3 points, and obviously it keeps the run that we're on at the minute. There's still work to do for us to secure a top 6 finish, which is great for us.
Well, I think he's just putting a little bit of a slant on that. I don't think they'll have any problem with top 6.
No, I think we're looking for top 4 now, Peter. I think top 4 could possibly be Europe as well, 4th place. They're having a fantastic run at the minute. You know, going to Celtic last week, you know, getting a draw and then, you know, beating Aberdeen at home. They've got a big game coming up, obviously, during the week against Rangers at home. They won't fear them. They've done really well against the Old Firm this season. And he's got strength and depth now as well, Peter. I think he's got guys like Greg Stewart and Kevin Van Veen on the bench, you know, to bring on, so that motivates the players that are in the team at the minute to keep scoring goals. So they're in a real good place at the minute. I think he's done a fantastic job at Kilmarnock. I think he's a top manager and very underrated today.
I agree.
Very underrated.
Doesn't surprise me at all. I've been a big fan of Derek's for a long, long time. He had longevity at Aberdeen. I think since he's left, Tom, they've not been the same, Aberdeen. He's taken Killy up. You know, stabilised them last year. Now look at them, and he's a top manager.
Yeah, what is it that he has in the quality that you see in other managers that you think?
He's got experience. First of all, he knows the game. 2, he knows what he wants, Peter, from his team. And it might not always be pretty, but he knows how to get results. And he's a football man, you know. And whenever you see him interviewed, he's pretty fair. He's pretty balanced. You know, he's got good knowledge of the game. There's a guy, you know, could have went to Rangers from Aberdeen, didn't go. Could have went to Sunderland, didn't go. I think he knows the Scottish game inside out, and it doesn't surprise me at all to see how well, you know, Kilmarnock are doing. Even though he has lost his partner in crime, Doc, you know, for a long time. He went to Dundee. He's got Alan Archibald in there, and then, you know, they are flowing. I think they're having a brilliant season. What you want when you're outside the big 2 is you want to try and beat the big 2 every now and again. They've done that consistently this season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Rangers are in great form, and I'm not saying they're not going to win tomorrow, or on Wednesday, but Derek will make it very difficult for them.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, we're
Oh, here we go.
No, we're always here to protect you. Whatever you do in the future, whatever you end up as a manager, please don't take the Sunderland job. We've got it as the kiss of death, haven't we? Aye. Anybody that goes there, the game's up. You know, I don't think we'll be doing a Sunderland podcast in the near future, I have to tell you. As far as Aberdeen are concerned, and Neil mentioned it there, Neil Warnock just said, you know, bullied.
Well, that's what we got done today, bullied, didn't we? We got bullied today. I mean, I wouldn't want to watch that every week, if I'm honest. But they played to the strengths, don't they? You know, and you've got to match that. And we, you know, I don't think I've ever had a team that's got bullied, really, in my life. You know, but you can't put into some players what they haven't got. And you've just got to keep going and do your best and forget about today as quickly as possible. Try and come up with something for Wednesday.
Well, the one line that screams out at me there is you can't put into players what they haven't got. That's him saying he's inherited a side with basically a lot of weak players.
Mm-hmm. Symptomatic of the game, modern game. I don't like it. He's right. Very rarely does any of his teams get bullied. Neil Warnock over the years, up and at him. You know, very physical, good runners, you know, always creating chances. And this isn't a sad indictment on the players at Aberdeen. If he's coming in after 4 or 5 games going, you know, you're too soft. You know, the modern game is sanitised, Peter. You know, Kilmarnock, you know, obviously physical, overworked him. And Aberdeen, there's so many ways to skin a cat.
What do you mean the modern game is sanitised?
Well, I don't think the players are physical enough. I don't think that they know how to tackle. I don't think they know how to challenge. I don't think they know how to use their bodies well enough. I think they're all sort of used to, you know, being with the ball, you know, passing out from the back or whatever way you want to call it. I think The physical side of the game is becoming less and less with some clubs. But if you look at all the top teams, they're physical. Man City, Arsenal, big boys. You know, I watched Arsenal midweek. I watched them at the weekend against Newcastle. I watched Man City on regular occasions. Big boys who will knock you off the ball, you know, and then be able to play as well. When you go to Kilmarnock and you're up against a team like Derek McInnes, who's run by Derek, you have to compete. You have to be physical. You have to 50-50s. You have to put your foot in. You have to stop crosses. You know, you have to not get bumped off it. And, you know, I only saw the highlights, but where Neil's coming from, I totally get. And he will be, you know, banging his head against the wall with that, because that is not symptomatic of his teams. His teams are the exact opposite the way Derek's team would play.
On Neil Warnock, I'm going to offer a bit of defence here on any manager, but Neil Warnock especially, when you inherit the side that he's inherited, for me, a bunch of weak players, weak at the back, it still hasn't been addressed, and at times, you know, are able to be bullied. But I don't know what Aberdeen fans are thinking. Any manager, never mind a Neil Warnock at 75, I'm not going to be ageist about this. Any manager coming in and inheriting that squad, it would take time, Ruffy, and now we're living in an era where people are looking for immediate turnarounds. It doesn't happen.
Well, you can tell by the interviews that he's got since he went there, he doesn't know where to fit them all in. He thinks he's got players in midfield that shouldn't actually be there. He knows his two strikers are okay. He's switching people out and he's coming out with another formation that doesn't work, so I'll change it at half time. He's just left with players that, unfortunately for him, he can't solve the problem because they keep getting beat all the time.
Yeah, I don't know what he does with the Aberdeen. I don't know about the expectation on it. Do you think they're top six?
Not at the minute, Peter, no.
Do you see a run from them?
I don't see a run. I mentioned it in the show. I fancied Kilmarnock at the weekend. Aberdeen they're not convincing. They don't look as if they're going to string to. He's not won a league game yet. You know, they don't look as if they're going to string together 3-4 wins, which they're going to have to do at some point.
They'll get a win on Wednesday.
Who are they playing?
St Johnstone.
At home?
Yeah.
I wouldn't bank on it, Peter. I think St Johnstone are not playing particularly well at the minute, but I wouldn't fancy Aberdeen. Their home record's terrible this season. I think they've won 3 games at home all season, so I wouldn't put that down as a home banker, but I think they've got to show. I've seen Graham Shinnick coming out and saying that they're weak as well in the press, so I would expect an Aberdeen team to come out and be on the front foot and be aggressive against St Johnstone.
Yeah.
What would see, when he's coming out and saying we're weak,
he's the captain of this club.
I know. But in terms of weak, what do you think he means, Tom?
I think he's not physical enough, and they're getting bullied, and they're getting
weak mentality in that as well.
Mentality, weak physically. I don't think he is, but I think he's calling out his teammates.
I mean, it's difficult enough with a window where you've got a chance to turn around and say to Dave Cormack, listen, Dave, I've had a quick look at the side, the window's open, I need this, and this. But if you come in and the window's shut, I mean, it's difficult enough you know, I'm not telling you to tell Neil Warnock his job. What would you have done there when you look at that squad? Would you just make them difficult to beat?
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yeah. Well, I play 2 strikers as well. I play somebody up with Miofsky to give him more support. You know, I look at them in midfield, and you've got little players. And when you're small, you have to be very good on the ball. I'm not convinced they're great on the ball, and there's no physical presence in there either. You know, and Shinny's, you know, your experienced player, but again, at times I think he lacks discipline in his game. You know, he gives away a lot of free kicks, and I've never seen Aberdeen this season have a sort of, like, you know, positive possession, you know, really flooding the team, Pete, not letting them out, keeping the pressure on, you know, moments of concerted periods of pressure. I've watched them a lot this season on the Robbo earlier on. They were very defensive, very long ball. I've not seen enough of them under Neil, but again, like, you can't imagine that he'd be able to change it overnight. But for a big club, and the mentality that this current team has, it's poor.
Yeah.
It's really poor.
Neil, would you sacrifice talented players when you go in and just get workers, guys that are going to dig for you and dig in and be physical?
Just initially, right? Maybe grind out a couple of results and then feed the footballers into the team. But that was like, my centre forwards. Like, you know, look, Miofsky's a standout for me, and he's worked miracles with the service that he's had. But there's a real lack of football intelligence from some of them, and a real lack of quality as well.
Yeah.
Aberdeen 0 attempts at goal.
How many games have they won this season? What is it, Pete? 6?
Well, they haven't won a game in 7. That's the first thing. They've had 4 draws, and as Tam mentioned, the only win that's come along has been the game against Bonnyrigg Rose. It's not great. And over the course of the season, 6 games, 8, 11, 12 games in total, and I'm including cup games in that as well.
In the league, they've won, what, 6 out of 20, what?
I'll tell you right now, in the league, Aberdeen...
6.
6.
26.
And 9 draws and 11 defeats. So it's not great.
It's not. Especially when you've got one of the best strikers in the division as well.
Well, if it wasn't for him, they'd
be in massive trouble.
Real trouble.
Oh, massive.
The only other thing I was going to say to you, Ruffy, and we've been talking about it, if they're waiting on a review from whoever this marketing or football insight company, once that review is done, do they then say, right, this is the type of manager we're looking for? Or do you think, as we discussed over the last couple of weeks, they've already pinpointed who they've got? I mean, I don't know where they're...
I don't think they know where they are either. You know, they've had that many changes, that many managers. I don't who advises them. You know, you would think that, again, it's a foreign owner. You don't know whose ears he's listening to. But I would like to think by now they would know the kind of manager that they want. And they should be actively putting names on bits of paper and coming to some decision, because they'll leave it too late.
Okay, Dons fans, give us your thoughts on that. But again, when you look at the overall result of it all, I think Derek McInnes flying high at the moment. Ross County 3, Livingston 2. Is that the result that eventually maybe David Martindale will look back and say that was the game that we should have been able to at least hold out for a draw?
Yeah, I think you lose that last 93rd minute winner is an absolute hammer blow for them. A draw would have kept them within 3 points. You know, Ross County go 6 ahead again, and Ross County were on a really, really poor run. That could give them confidence as well, Peter. Livingston a wee bit of momentum after a couple of wins. I think Livingston will finish bottom. And I'm looking at St Johnstone now. You know, I've seen the highlights of their game against St Mirren, and they were dreadful. St Mirren could have won that game 5 or 6-0 easily. St Johnstone, no threat in the forward areas either.
Have you changed your mind again?
I think St Johnstone are in trouble. I think they've had an initial... I've always said Livingston to go down, but I thought Ross County... But I think Ross County, wee Brophy scored a great finish at the weekend. They've got Murray there. I think they've got enough goals, Peter, to get them out of trouble. I'm not convinced St Johnstone have, and they're not keeping clean sheets either.
So St Johnstone in the playoff.
St Johnstone in the playoff for me, and Livingston down. No, from the end of the season, Peter.
To the end of the season.
I think Craig
You're
Levine,
not budging.
No, Craig Levine got an initial wee bounce out of them, but the last couple of performances I've seen them, I thought.
I mean, I've been saying that for a while. My concern with St Johnstone is the lack of goals. You know.
Yeah.
And again, it was apparent, they lost 3-0 last week. I don't think they laid a glove on St Mirren at the weekend. That's my concern for St Johnstone. And Ross County, every now and again, can have this little burst of goals, Pete. With Brophy, with Murray, with White in the team. They've got goals in them.
They've got St Mirren on Tuesday night.
Home or away?
Home.
They'll fancy that after the win.
Yeah.
But Rob will have his own ideas on that. Again, they're in double figures, St Mirren, for wins this season. It's tremendous.
I'll tell you one thing, it's cutthroat at the bottom. Livingston are at home to Motherwell on Wednesday. Yeah. What a 24 hours it's going to be, Ruffy.
It certainly is. I mean, I keep repeating myself. I've been on record to say I don't care who's in the bottom 2. I think 2 of them are gone. I think the teams in the Championship will fancy their chances against whatever 3 it is or 2. Whatever it ends up with, 2 it is.
It's quite unusual for you because you like the odds. You're usually you like to, when you are committed in your opinion, Ruffy, it's usually the blatantly bloody obvious and you stick to it. But you've gone against the grain here. No. You're saying the 2 of them are going down.
Yeah, I think they are, because I'm looking at the Scottish Cup results. I mean, Thistle turned over Ross County. Livingston will get turned down by the Championship. They've all been turned over, and I just don't think on any given day the 3 of them are good enough to beat whether it is. I think Dundee United eventually turn away, but the form that Wraith Rovers are in and the players that they've taken a lot of good players as well, and Thistle are still there as well.
And what about what Tam says? Who are you going for second bottom?
I'm going Livingston and I think St Johnstone now.
Yeah. You Livingston, St Johnstone?
I've been saying St Johnstone for a while.
Yeah.
Not because of the only reason behind that, Pete, is just the lack of goals. And Craig, you know, if they're not keeping clean sheets, you know...
You're goosed.
Yeah.
Yep. OK, let's get on to something really positive, Tam. I was at Easter Road on Saturday and thoroughly enjoyed a great game from two teams. If anything, Dundee lacked anything really to threaten Hibs in that final third, but they were given a little sniff of hope, and really, look, Aberdeen should have been 4 or 5 goals out of sight. They were that good.
Yeah, I thought Hibs' first half were superb. Best I've seen him in a long time. Peter Venti, you know, looked apart. I think he's onside. You know, the goal that gets chopped off again. I hate these goals that are drawing lines and all that. And he's maybe an inch, a couple of centimetres offside. Just give the goal. And
just to keep the troops happy.
No, just and anyone. Same yesterday in the Liverpool game, which we'll speak about earlier on.
Arsene Wenger, when that rule comes in,
I
change the emphasis of football.
That'll change the whole. That'll change football. You know, football's about scoring goals, entertainment, seeing goals. It's not about looking for a reason to chop off a goal. And I think that's what VAR is at the minute. It's looking for reasons to disallow a goal, and that's not what fans want to see. But getting back to Hibs, I thought they were really, really good. They should have won the game comfortably, Peter. Dundee didn't play particularly well. I spoke to Stuart Taylor. He said that's the poorest they've played in a wee while. They weren't happy with their performance, but they stayed in the game. They nearly got a point. The goalkeeper has a nightmare for the goal, which we'll speak about.
Talk to Ruffy
about that. Right? It's an absolute nightmare. Been great for them this season, but he's a nightmare for the goal. But Hibs thoroughly deserved it. They closed the gap to Dundee to 2 points for that top 6 place. And they go into a massive game in Wednesday at Tynecastle in Goodfettle.
Ruffy, have you? And this is me asking you to be honest, because more often than not we try and be honest on the show. Have you ever been in a situation where you've come for the ball, you've dropped it, and then you've started chasing the ball, and you've taken out somebody as you're chasing it to the edge of the box?
No, I haven't. But I can actually think what's going through his head. He's made a mistake. There was 2 his defenders behind him. We just need to catch it, and then he's flipped it, and then all of a sudden he's found himself in a position that he must have been going. There must have been 2 or 3 options, but he took the wrong one. Damn it! He half the ball in 2. It's even when he kicked it at the park. He went, "Oh, I've kicked it at the park," and think he was going to get away with it, and then obviously reality sets in and. Goodness me.
Can I be fair to Trevor Carson? He made a couple of really top draw saves. You know, he was, but it was just that moment of madness, and you're sitting there in the press box and you're going, "What did you see that? Stop, don't!" And then he's just chasing the ball, and it became ridiculous. But of course, Nick Montgomery after the game. I did ask him if he thought that was the best he'd played. He didn't share my opinion on that, but he certainly did share the main focus of attention, which was they were so far out in front that they should be able to kill teams off.
To concede an equaliser in the manner that we did, in the time that we did. But I thought the fans today were outstanding. I thought they kept behind the team, and I thought they appreciated the performance. Sometimes you have a bit of bad luck against you. We seem to have had a lot. But we can't rely on that. We can't rely on VAR. We have to be better. We have to kill teams off when we're on the front foot. I thought Mizani's goal just summed Mizani's performance up, and the team's performance more than deserved. And really happy for the effort for the boys and for the fans today.
Yep,
he looks a player.
Mizani?
Yeah. We spoke about it. He went for like £10 million, I think, to Lille or Lyon or something like that, and. You're wondering why he's in Scottish football, to be honest. Why he's getting a game for Hertha Berlin? His attitude problems, but he's came in. He's got to say he looks fit, and I thought he took his goal superbly well. Peter, him, Marcondes, Venti. You've got Boyle there. You've got Johan on the bench. You've got Lafondra on the bench. Hibs have got real, great strength and depth in that forward areas, and they're going to need it for now at the end of the season.
Yeah, I must admit, and I don't know about you, Neil, but. I think, and this is something that you and Paul Lambert did to great effect, and I wish he'd somebody else alongside him. Joe Newell is a very simple boy, picks the ball up, left peg, and he makes himself available. Yes, sometimes if he wants to try and dribble, he gets caught out. That's not his game. But he'll make passes. He can play the 30, 40 yard diagonal. They need somebody just in there like you and Lambert used to do, the protectors, who can take the ball out, make sure the defenders don't need to play football.
Some teams like just to have the one holder rather than two pivots.
Yeah.
You know, did they play 4-3-3 at the weekend?
You played the boy Welsh played in the middle of the park. He's a decent player, boy from Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did alright against Celtic, by
And I
the way.
like Marcondes. I think Marcondes is a good player, and I'd love to see Hibs. You know, with obviously with the shareholding vote that's coming up, I'd love to see them be able to say to Marcondes, look, you know, stay a couple of years. You know, you're at the tail end of your career. Come and enjoy it and play regular
Maybe Peter,
football.
but I think he's on about 12 grand a week, so no, but you need to take a big wage cut to stay at Hibs.
He's the type of footballer Hibs like.
Paying players $9 grand a week.
Are you talking about me?
Hey, no. After that, the madness of signing you, they eventually. I mean, the last couple of years, Neil, you would not believe the wage bill.
There's been good investment in the club, and certainly in the playing pool as well. But Joe, I watched him against Celtic that night. I thought he was outstanding. He was unlucky to give the penalty away towards the end, but he was like a man possessed, and he can do it. He's sort of like started off as a left winger, Peter, and then he's dropped into midfield. And now, as you get older, you do tend to play a little bit deeper. But he's got the presence, and he's certainly got the game to do that. And what you want is some legs around him now.
Yeah.
You know, I get it that you may have a two there. It depends on what Nick wants to do with the team. Does he want a 4-2-3-1, or does he want a 4-1-2 and then another 3?
Yeah.
Depends on the way Nick wants to play. But at the minute, by all accounts, Hibs played great. I thought they were good against Celtic. I think they've been a bit unlucky with results. But that's a shot on the arm for them, because they needed that going into the game on Wednesday.
Yeah.
They're a long way behind Hearts at the minute, and you know the fans won't be happy about that.
I thought they played really well. Best have played this season, having watched Hibs. But I think they'll get battered on Wednesday.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's a derby, like it's hard. You know, it's always hard to call. I think.
Well, call it then for me.
Draw. Score draw.
Yeah, I think so as well, Peter.
Yeah, I think it'll be difficult for the Hearts players to go over Ibrox. I think their heads will be down. Obviously, it's up to the manager to sort of lift them, but at the back of your mind, if Hibs were to come out first 10-15 minutes positive, that might put Hearts on the back
Hibs have got goals in them.
Yeah,
you know.
remember as well, it's the
Got
end.
no options up front now.
It's the end of the month, so everybody gets paid. Would it be too much of a stretch for me to say that if Hearts win on Wednesday, then maybe we all go out for a wee meal and you just pick up the tab?
No problem.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Ruffy, you happy with that?
Not really, no.
Chip farm down the road, Ruffy. Are we having a bet on it, Pete?
Absolutely. I'm going for Hearts to win.
You've got Hearts win, you've got Hibs and
We get Hibs in the draw.
You saying Hearts will battle them, so you're just...
Let me tell you something. Do you know what?
Put your money where your mouth is. You said Hibs would get battered.
Do you want me to tell you something? Here's the point. I'll tell you,
Go on, Budge,
I feel
love
really good.
Guess
I'm
2
going to give you
goals.
the draw.
You should do. You said they're going to get battered.
The favourites are 21 points ahead of Hibs.
I'm giving you the draw. What more do you want? Shut it.
I need 2 goals a start.
Okay, that's
God, I forgot Shankle was playing.
And we all watched the last game. Neil was covering it for Sky. There was nothing in the game, Peter, bar Shanklin's scored in the last minute.
Yeah.
Hibs were every bit as good as Hearts that night. Obviously the league table doesn't lie, but I don't think there's much between the teams on the day if they both play well.
I don't know why you're saying. I'm giving you the draw.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm giving you the draw. Hearts to win at home. Okay. What about the overall shareholding? I'll come to you on this, because the Hibs Supporters Limited are not going to vote in favour of Bill Foley's minority stake, but that won't really matter. I think he's going to get the go ahead.
Yeah, because it will go to an overall vote, I think, Peter, and they'll get out trumped with the majority. But they must see something. The HSL must see something they're not happy with in terms of maybe Bournemouth players coming up and having to play and some sort of relationship with them. There's players got to come up and play, whatever. But I don't see there being any issue. I think the AGM's coming up, and I think that'll get through, Peter. And I hope it does get through, because Hibs need that money. They need that money to go and try and compete and get higher up the league.
Yeah, okay. Ruffy, I'm just looking here. 1-11, drawn 5 and lost 11, but they're sitting in 5th place in the table. St Mirren defeated St Johnstone by 2-0. The Saints fans, anybody who's got a season ticket this season must be thinking, this is magic.
Well, the good thing about it is when they're playing Rangers and Celtic, they're giving Rangers and Celtic a game. The fans like seeing that, and at this stage St Mirren are better than most of the other teams, and that's where they're picking up all the points, and it's been a fantastic season. And I know you were saying somebody Kilmarnock going for Europe. I think St Mirren would be good if they could maybe get in there as well.
Yeah, it'd be massive. Adam Binney was out there talking to Stephen Robinson.
St Mirren are sitting pretty in 5th in the Scottish Premiership table just now, with just 6 games to go before the split. They're 8 points clear of 7th position, and it's looking like Stephen Robinson's side will complete back-to-back top 6 finishes. But the manager was keen to remind everyone of what his club's targets were at the start of the season.
I'm not sure about that. I'm still making sure are we safe from 10th place yet? When we do that, then we'll worry about top 6. But yeah, I agree. It is a big week. We said that before Saturday's game. 3 huge games that we feel we can get points from. But you have to take it as every manager says it's one game at a time. We need to approach this Ross County game, a new manager in place with Don, and we have to be prepared. They've got 3 very good strikers that they played on Saturday, and we need to make sure we try and get points there before we worry about the next one.
If the Buddies are to make it into the top 6 for a second successive season, this is what it would mean for manager Stephen Robinson.
Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was it once in 46 years we got into the top 6? To do it 2 years in a row would be an incredible achievement for this group of players and everybody at the football club. We've pushed the football club forward massively on and off the pitch. With Keith and his team at the ground, the board's backing. There's a lot of people that don't get recognition, and the group of players themselves, I'll be absolutely delighted for them. But there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, great credit to him. I know you're a fan.
I am. Not only did they make top 6 last year, but which is a great achievement. It looks like they're going to do it again. And what he has done is he's built up this aura about St Mirren being, a top team now, which you wouldn't have thrown that at St Mirren maybe 3-4 years ago. He's built this sort of difficult team to beat, good at home. The smart team, put crosses in the box, play to their strengths, difficult to beat, Peter. And again, he's shown his qualities as a manager, a bit like Derek. He knows the game up here really well. He did really well at Motherwell previously, got them to cup finals. Motherwell have been nowhere near that since, and now he's doing so consistently well with a really strong, spirited group of players.
Yeah.
You got to admire that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
they've had 11 wins. That's 33 points already. I mean, we talk about Aberdeen and Hibs. Teams who have got far bigger budgets, they've only won maybe half as many games as that.
Prediction for tomorrow night?
Which game?
Ross County.
1 each.
Yeah, I think a draw.
2 each.
2 each. Oh, you're all going to a draw in this one. Oh.
Go on.
No,
Go on.
I'm not giving you the draw.
No. Where are you going?
I'm going to go St Mirren.
You go St Mirren?
I'll go St Mirren 2-1. Okay, what about the table? Here's how it looks after the weekend's fixtures, and of course a full card coming up this week in midweek. Rangers out in front by 2 points. It's a title race at the top. 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Some great battling to go on there, and then the bottom half. Tam McManus just basically said it's going to be Livingston and then St Johnstone, and you could throw a blanket over those teams at the bottom there. Are Livingston gone? Is there any way back? Can you get something out of them? Give us your view on it. We'd love to hear from you on it. As far as the predictor is concerned, Tam is absolutely flying. Look at that, Ruffy. He's in 12th position, could win it and save us a fortune, Ruffy.
Certainly could. They must have had a right good weekend, because I was only like 3 behind him, but he's widened that gap, so he must have had a few correct scores.
A bit of a gap there between Tam, Ruffy, and then yourself, Pete.
There is a bit of a gap. Do you know, of the 11
and then
years,
Kerry, you know what I mean?
Of the 11 years that we've been doing it, to win 9, it became a bit boring for me.
It was only just you and Ruffy, but he's hopeless.
COVID killed you, did it?
Absolutely, it did. Fortunately, I can't even blame the board. It just killed me. But to be honest with you, Tam, you must be happy. You're 12th position.
He's grinning like a Cheshire cat there.
You've got to fly on it.
I got it if you have no, Peter.
Yeah. if you win it,
can't bring my pal.
You've got to bring somebody. Okay.
Not my wife, Ruffy.
Yeah, just before. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll never go over that party with you, Ruffy.
No, it was great.
It was a great
wonderful.
It was a great night. Absolutely.
Thanks for the invite.
Well, it was Ruffy's surprise 70th.
Surprise.
And when he walked in and he saw Tam's wife, he He thought all his presents had been answered in one fell swoop.
This is your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And then his face just was tripping him when it eventually.
Like a cat that got the cream that night.
He really was, wasn't he? It really was. Okay, so from the tough battles that are going on in the Premiership, if you were lucky enough to just settle down and watch the Carabao Cup final, I did have the chance to go to it, Ruffy. I thought the tickets were a wee bit expensive to give you the call for us all to go down, you know, but in the end, I just settled down on the couch and watched a magnificent game unfold, and that was before any goal was scored.
Yeah, I mean, we always say when you've got top class players, it's a breath of fresh air when they all turn up and give us a decent game. Nobody trying to spoil the game at end, both teams trying to win it. And you've got that quality on the park. It's good to watch.
Yeah, it was magnificent. In the end, you know, I think maybe a little harsh from Gary Neville saying Chelsea were the blue £1 billion bottle jobs. But to be perfectly honest with you, Liverpool, with a team that had quite a lot of youngsters because of the injuries that he sustained. I was down at Liverpool on the Wednesday watching them against Luton, and they just do not know when they're beaten. They just keep going relentlessly.
I thought the game was awesome yesterday. I loved it. I had a bit of everything. You know, and again, they lost Gravenberch early in the game, which for me was a red card, the Caicedo one. You know, he's, you know, really stamped on him and he's gone over on his ligaments. Really bad tackle. But it was a great game to watch. It ebbed and flowed. It could have went either way. Chelsea had some great chances. Really unfortunate with the goal that was disallowed. But quality football throughout. And then, you know, you're looking at the substitutes coming on. He's got great faith in these young players. You know, and sometimes it's been a necessity just because of the injuries he's had, Pete. No Salah, no Nunez, no Jota. That's basically your front three out, you know, and he starts with Harvey Elliott, Diaz and Gakpo. And they still prevail. I thought Van Dijk was awesome. It was just his day.
Awesome,
you know, when you put a name on a cup final, it was his. You know, defensively, him and Kanate were amazing. The goalkeeper made some unbelievable save from Palmer early on. And then the game had, you know, ebbed and flowed and you couldn't take your eyes off it. The atmosphere looked amazing. It's just what we love about football.
Yeah, the only downside, Tam, is if you are going to, and again, this is the problem that you have north, south, right across Europe, world football, if you are going to disallow a goal based on a guy who is blocking a run, you know, there's going to be a hell of a lot of goals. Again, as you mentioned, VAR stopping the ability of us to enjoy goals. I thought it was harsh, the first one.
Neil will tell you, that happens
every time.
Every game. You're told, you know, set pieces, right, you're blocking. It happens in every game, Peter, at every level. So I thought it was, that was the only thing that ruined the game for me, was the 2 goals in this. I thought Sterling was millimetres offside. You know, if you're going to call it fine, I don't think the second goal, I think Van Dijk's goal, and it was poetic justice, I think, that he eventually did get the winner, because I thought he was very, very unfortunate not to get that header for the goal.
Yeah, and again, Jurgen Klopp described this one, when you consider what he's won with Liverpool, as one that he'll never forget.
But in my more than 20 years, easily the most special trophy I ever won. It's absolutely exceptional. And we sometimes I get asked if I'm proud of this, proud of that, proud of that. It's really tricky. I don't know. I wish I could feel pride more often. Just don't do. Tonight it was an overwhelming feeling. I was, oh my God, what's going on here? I was proud on everybody involved in everything here. I was proud of our people.
It was incredible, Ruffy. And as they mentioned there, you know, some of them, I mean, I thought Diaz at one point, and this is a guy, I kid you not, who could have had a double hat-trick in midweek against Luton. He had 6 clear goal-scoring opportunities, but he looked absolutely dead in his feet at the end of it. They had run themselves into the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get that kind of reaction when you've had a manager for so long and he said, like, I'm leaving at the end of the year. I think the decent players want to do well for him. They want to win some. They want to see him leaving at the really top, and I mean top winning trophies, and that's just a start for them. So you can see where he's coming from. You know, he wants to leave, and very good memories.
Quadruple?
No.
No.
They're running out of players, Peter.
Yeah.
I think their best chances maybe the league, they adding to the tally. Europa League, I think they might come up short of squads depth. you know, they've not got enough players, I don't think, to go and win the quadruple fit. They've got too many guys out injured.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's just got to, for me, concentrate on the Premier League. What's a hole he's going to leave, though, when he leaves?
Yeah.
That's going to take some filling, you know, it's going to take a big game of, you know, the influence he's had over Liverpool, the style of play. You can see what he means to the players, the way they play for him, Peter, week in, week out, year in, year out. It's going to be a huge miss for not just Liverpool, but for the game in general.
Yep, he's an experienced manager and one man that we were well used to sitting on this couch. We miss him because he really had a great insight into the value of a player in the transfer market, which was Charlie.
Yep.
And I'm delighted that our reporter Kerry Pollock was down there because Charlie is embarking on his first managerial journey as the manager of Fleetwood Town.
For us at the moment, it's survival. You know, we're in a position where we have to get above the line. I felt it was the right time. I just needed clarity in terms of where it should be, and I'm fortunate enough that it's close to home, a club that I know. Trying to use that as for what I did as a player to help them on the pitch, but everybody's at levels, and you know, you've got to try and coach them and make them better players.
Angle, Phoenix on the angle, check Phoenix!
Sir Alex, I was fortunate enough and I had 2 hours with him in his office, and it was an unbelievable experience. But he just said, don't pick a fight, because the fight will come to you.
Come here, Shelby!
I think for me, the thing for me to focus on is the now, and the now is Fleetwood Town.
Well, I certainly hope he goes on to have a long career in management. It's the first one for him, and you know, he'll be just buzzing to try and first of all save Fleetwood from the drop and then build it from there. Can you remember that feeling of
the excitement, and good luck to him. It's a difficult job he's got this season, but he's very experienced. Charlie's a smart boy, you know. He's taken over from Lee Johnson, he took over from Brownie, so they've had a difficult season, you know, and the results haven't gone for him of late, but there's still time. But if they go down, then hopefully they'll give him the opportunity to take them back up again, and that's maybe where it'll all start from.
Yeah, and as Neil will undoubtedly have done as well, Ruffy, with Charlie, it's good you have a couple of hours in Fergie's company. You phone people that have been your former gaffers and try and suck up as much knowledge as possible just to get, you know, all those little tidbits that you can put into effect in a game.
Yeah, I think if you're fortunate enough to be at teams with managers that you respected, you're going to take the good things that you've got. You know, there will be things that you'll just bin, but when you're talking to people like Sir Alex Ferguson, you've got to take most of it in.
Yeah, why were you smiling?
I must have missed that memo. The Fergie advice: don't pick a fight; it'll come to you. Wish you'd have told me that about 20 years ago, Tom.
Absolutely, it's a great bit of advice. Now
you tell me.
Yeah, I was going to say to you another thing about it as well, and I think Kerry rightly pointed out to him in the interview, which comes out Wednesday, by the way. It's a real insight into him. He's thanks to Charlie, he's given Kerry and our production team access all areas for the full day. Great insight to chatting to him, to what his hopes and dreams are for the future as a manager. It's Charlie Adam, the next chapter. It must be tough, and I'm going to get your thoughts just before we finish, but being a player of his quality and then having to be a manager and manage all things, but try and get players to do things that some just will not be able to do what you used to be able to do, you know?
Yeah, but I think that's when your man management skills come into it, Peter. I think that you get a group of players, he's obviously inherited it from, as Neil said, their 2 previous managers. You just got to get in and get them fighting and working together, working hard to try and get results game by game. I think they're 6 or 7 points adrift of safety at the minute. You know, it's looking a tall order for them to stay up. But he's just got to try and rally them around and try and get results. You know, I think they were unlucky at the weekend not to beat Exeter. They drew the game, so I hope Charlie does well. We all liked him. He's a good lad, and as Neil said, he's clued in. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he wants from teams and players. So I think once this season goes out the road, then I think he'll go on and have a good management career.
Yeah, and last word on that, you're trying to tell people how to do things, and you could do it, but they can't.
Yeah, it's difficult, and you have to understand, you know, where they are, Peter, rather than where you are or what you've been through. And all you can do is just try and pass on your experiences and your knowledge and show them, you know. But you have to have a lot of patience with that as well.
Yeah, Kerry Pollock 1-to-1 with Charlie Adam. It's called The Next Chapter, and also I'm really looking forward to it. If you want to, if you're a TikTok follower, our reporter Cheryl Smith has the behind the scenes on putting that whole thing together down at Fleetwood. But it's well worthy of you, if you're a football lover, watching Charlie and getting his thoughts on his first managerial job. Charlie Adam, The Next Chapter, is out on Wednesday. Thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Neil, thanks to Tam McManus, and from myself, Peter Martin. As ever, thanks to you for listening and watching.